Hi guys, it's Saneth here again. I'm the traveling mom boss. I'm here to teach you guys how to travel on a budget and also to share my journey with you guys. I've been traveling with my kids and my sister for the past year and a half throughout the United States. Now we're in Europe, so I have a lot of tips to share with you guys and also for you to guys get an inside look at our lives traveling on a budget. Before I get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that I have a free guide on how to travel on a budget. It's in the description, so please make sure you click on that link to get access to my free guide. Today's video is 12 tips on how to travel on a long flight with your kids and not go crazy. So I've been traveling, as I said, throughout Europe with my kids, and we've been flying or we've been taking the bus or a train. So each type of transportation we've been using has been for a long period of time. We also, like I said, traveled throughout the United States, so we've been driving from state to state. So the tips for a long flight can be applied to driving, road tripping, or taking a bus or train to another city, country, whatever it may be. But this is specifically for flying, so let's get into it. Tip number one is to make sure that you guys are sitting together. If you have younger children, this is automatically done for you, but if you have older kids like teenagers, you might want to pay for your seat selection or choose a airline where it's free along with your ticket. But I recommend sitting with your kids or sitting with your family so you all can be in the same row or you guys can be next to each other. The second tip is to have an aisle seat. So when you're traveling with kids, you do want to make sure you have access to the bathroom. So I always recommend to sit in the aisle. It is uncomfortable when people are walking by you, but it's the easiest way to get up from your seat and get to the bathroom or whatever it may be, get something from the overhead department. So I recommend making sure that you select the aisle seat. If it's just two people or if it's a small group that you're traveling with, make sure you choose seats at the aisle. The third tip that I recommend when traveling with kids is to make sure you download movies. Have some type of movies or their favorite show downloaded prior to traveling. Netflix is a great way to be able to download movies prior to traveling. So I usually download their favorite movies or shows that they like prior to traveling. It does take some time to do that download, so make sure you do it before you get to the airport. The fourth tip is to have games set up. So you can download a game or you can bring along board games with you so you can play them with your kids and keep them active and keep their mind away from thinking about this long flight. So having games set up is a great option for them. You can have games that they can play on the phone that does not require use of the internet, or you can have board games or card games, whatever it may be, to keep them active and keep them going while you're on the flight. The fifth tip that I recommend is to have books. So of course books are educational. It also keeps your mind going and not thinking about the long flight, because after a while it does get like really boring when you're just sitting in place and thinking about your destination. So having books for your kids and having books for yourself is a great thing to keep you occupied. I recommend getting some type of motivational book or a book that for yourself that is in an area of need that you want to improve yourself. And for your kids, I recommend getting their favorite books so they can be, active and enjoying their plane ride while they're reading their book. The sixth tip is to have coloring books, crayons, markers, and things like that. Kids love to color. It's also even better if you color with them. So having a sketchbook or a coloring book is a great idea to keep your kids occupied while they're on a long flight. The seventh tip that I recommend is to make sure you're wearing comfortable clothes. Make sure your kids have comfortable clothes. I also recommend having a second pair of clothing besides what they're wearing, because sometimes accident does happen. This actually happened with my youngest daughter. I'm not going to go into detail because she's going to be embarrassed, but I was so happy that I did bring along an extra pants and a underwear for her. I didn't even think I would need it. I just decided to bring it along and I did actually need it. And tip that I recommend is to have some snacks for your kids and for yourself. So make sure you have your kids' favorite snacks, because sometimes the things that they're offering on the plane ride is not what your kids are going to want. And sometimes the things that your kids are going to want, you're going to have to pay for it, and it does cost way more on the plane. So I recommend bringing your kids' favorite snacks. If you want to make sure you're bringing things that's appropriate to travel with, I would recommend doing some research online prior to buying whatever it may be. I know that liquids you cannot bring in with you. You can buy that once you're checked in, but you cannot bring that through with you when you're going through TSA. Number 9, I recommend that you take your kids for a little walk down the plane, back and forth, if you're allowed to. If you feel more comfortable asking the flight attendant first, you can do that, but almost always there's no issues with that once you're not just standing in place for a long time. But I would take them for a walk to the bathroom, or a walk to the front of the plane and then walk back, or you can even stand in the aisle and stretch, breathe in, breathe out, just to make your kids just release some of that pent up energy. You can even do it for yourself, just so you could feel a little bit more relaxed, and probably even take a nap after that. The 10th thing that I recommend is to drink lots of water. When you're sitting in place for a long time, you can have some issues with your legs. I know that when my legs are in place for a long time, or my feet is in place for a long time, it starts to like stiffen up. So I usually drink a lot of water. I recommend that for your kids so that they can have their blood flowing and feel more comfortable and relaxed. It also calms your nerves and so on when you're drinking water, and it takes your mind away from other things. So I do recommend drinking lots of water when you're on your long flight. Tip for myself that I use is to make sure I have podcasts downloaded, because a lot of times you don't have access to the internet, or you have to pay for Wi-Fi access on the airline. So make sure you download your podcast so you can have some motivation and be relaxed while you're traveling for that 8 or how much ever hour flight. My final tip is to talk to each other. Get to know each other a little bit more. Talk about your destination. Talk about the things that your kids might be excited to do, or you're excited to share with them. So let them know that you're excited for this trip and you're excited to get where you're going, even if it's going home. But talk to each other. This can kill some of the time that you're taking to get to your destination, and also help you get to know your family or your children a little bit more. So talk, talk, talk. And you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you on my next video.